Some Republican-led states have rolled back COVID-related restrictions in their states, and there are examples, for instance, of more recent states like Wyoming that have decided recently to lift their mask mandate. Now, Idaho is one of those states that never had a mask mandate. However, there are certain parts of Idaho that decided to implement a mask mandate just to, maybe stop the spread of a deadly virus. But nonetheless, voters, or I should say people from Idaho, decided to show up to Boise in order to engage in this stupidity.
Apply! You're fired. You're hungry. Here's another mask.
So Dar Moon is the event organizer, and the quote from Dar is this: "I think people need to realize that we're standing here today to rein back government, to reestablish our Republican form of government." Okay, Moon also said that Boise's event was representative of, quote, "a widespread grassroots uprising." The Republican governor of Idaho, Brad Little, has never issued a statewide mask mandate, but there are 7 counties and 11 cities that have such mandates in place. So what I want to emphasize is that out of all of the annoying things that we've had to do to change our lives in order to stay safe, to slow the spread of COVID, masks are the cheapest and easiest solution to the problem. And there is a very real reason why this is turned into a political branding experiment. And I'll explain why in just a minute, but Cenk, I wanted you to jump in.
Yeah, so 170,000 people in the tiny state of Idaho have already gotten coronavirus, and nearly 1,900 have died. So it's a hoax, we don't need the mask, except for the nearly 2,000 people who've already died in your home state. And so as I was looking at a video, the first thing that struck me was I forgot what the video was about. And I'm like, oh my God, none of them have masks. That's really dangerous. And then I realized, oh right, they're at a mask burning event. Of course they're not wearing masks, right? And so obviously you hear that kid, and that's heartbreaking, saying, "Here, fire, you hungry? Here's another mask." And I don't know if the parents and the grandparents that were there forgot the books, because that would have been a nice touch too. While we're burning masks, let's throw some books in there to finish the complete fascist symbolism. Now let's talk about how stupid the organizers are. So that Moon character is like, we're gonna show the government, man. It's an infectious disease. It doesn't know what your government is and doesn't care. So you're gonna show the government by getting an infectious disease. Like, oh yeah, I'll show you government, I want regulation, I'm gonna get AIDS. Wait, how does that show the government anything? Right? And AIDS is also an infectious disease. So it's, oh, apples and oranges, oh, that's different. Okay, oh yeah, government, no, don't tread on me. I just got bronchitis, what now, government? Why does that show the government anything? That's just, but they can't think logically. They just can't. That's why we're in 2 different Americas, and why we're so frustrated with them. And they just don't understand anything. They sit there and they go, mask to protect you, mask bad, mask government oppression, infectious disease good. We smear all over ourselves. Some of us die. This is called freedom. No, you guys are all schmucks. And then one last piece of irony there, then I want to go back to what's wrong with conservatives overall later. They're throwing in masks, going, ha ha. One of the masks that they're throwing in said Biden sucks. Wait, but if you throw that into the fire, does that mean you like Biden?
Yeah, so I would feel the exact same way as you, and I do, to be clear. Like, obviously burning the masks and having this kind of reaction to literally the easiest and cheapest thing you can do to keep yourself and your family members safe is nonsensical. But there is a very real reason why this became a cultural issue for conservatives in the country. And so there's this book that I've been reading, and I think it's really, really interesting in understanding and helpful in understanding the current moment we're in. It's called Ruling the Void by Peter Mayer. And he's a political scientist. He unfortunately passed away, but he had this really interesting theory in the context of the European Union, by the way, regarding how, as political parties become more and more similar. And we're certainly experiencing that when it comes to major issues here in the United States, like when it comes to pro-corporate policy and all of that, austerity. Democrats and Republicans, yes, they differ a little bit, but at the end of the day, they become more and more similar. So what they do to differentiate themselves, according to Mayer's theory, is they latch onto cultural issues, or they latch onto identity issues. And in this particular case, from the very beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, what did Trump do? Whether wittingly or unwittingly, he immediately latched onto masks as a cultural issue, right? He differentiated conservatives from everyone else by saying that conservatives refuse to wear the masks. They questioned the scientific efficacy of the masks. And so it doesn't matter, Cenk, to these conservative voters whether or not what they're doing actually makes sense. I would even venture to say that they haven't even thought about it that far. It's become a symbol of conservatism in the United States, and that's why they latch onto it. They'll tell you that it's about freedom. They'll tell you that it's about ensuring that they put a stop to authoritarian rule or whatever language they use. But at the end of the day, what's really happening behind the scenes is this effort by conservatives in America to differentiate themselves from Democrats, not by actual substantive policies, but more importantly through these, social symbols and culture wars.
Right, and the conservative mind is relevant here because it's response to fear more. It's more self-centered, and that's backed up by many different studies. There's different emotions that appeal and different set of morality that appeals to conservatives versus progressives. So they love authority and tradition and heritage. They view tradition as something that is a moral issue, whereas progressives don't view it that way. They view it as, well, it's either helpful to everybody or it isn't, right? That the morality is actually helping people or not helping them, not just keeping up a tradition, whether it makes sense or not, whether it hurts people or not. So, but in this context, they're trying to get conservatives to wear masks so that we can stop the spread of the disease. So they hired a Republican consultant, the top one, the pollster, Frank Luntz, and he tried different things to appeal to conservatives just to test it out, right? And this is conservatives that are doing this, or Republican, analysts and politicians that are asking for this. How can we talk to our voters to keep them safe, but not offend them by telling them to do things that are rational? That would deeply offend them. So Frank Luntz tried out words like, "Hey, it's going to help your country." Totally didn't work. They didn't care at all. It's going to help the economy. Didn't care at all, which is interesting. It's going to help your friends. Didn't care, right? It's the right thing to do. Test terribly. They don't care at all. It's a turnoff to do the right thing. The only things that worked were if you said it'll keep you safe. They're like, oh, okay, fine. All right, if you're saying the vaccine will keep me safe, then I'll take it. Why? Because it appeals to their desperate need for safety. Because the number one driver is they're afraid. They're afraid of immigrants, they're afraid of trans people in bathrooms, they're afraid of everything. So once you tell them this can keep you safe, they're like, oh, okay, it keeps my friends safe, don't care at all. It helps the country, couldn't care less, right? But it keeps me safe, and they said loved ones. And they're like, and remember, I've told you, it's not that the right wing is immoral, and although sometimes it certainly has that effect, right? But it's that they view their circle as very, very small. Me and my immediate family. And that's who I care about, and that's who I'll protect to the end of the earth. That's their form of morality. And that's good. They just never expand that circle. And then the last thing that appealed to them was, it'll help you return to normal. So as a conservative, they're like, normal, good. The way things were, the past, heritage, good. Okay, I take vaccine, I become safe, I become normal, I vote yes. Everything else about helping other people, hell no, it drove them away, it didn't work at all.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.